Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
At first, we hit your gadgets with our state-of-the-art digitalized mobile studio with the debate on the road behind the wheels. Later, we launched our magnificent studios located on Plot 1A, Sewagude Close, Lukulinanganda, Machindye, Kampala, where we bring to you our must-watch shows like The Mighty Drive, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m., Hotline, Mondays, 7 p.m. As for legal matters, Twins at Bar, Tuesdays, 11 a.m., Wednesdays, 6 p.m. is Afro-Caribbean Link, where we connect Africa with the Caribbean. Voltage on Thursdays, 7 p.m., featuring a youthful panel. Interface with Dr. Kiza Besije every Friday, 12 p.m. with his call to action against injustices. Snap Talk, Saturdays, 6 p.m. with the trio. A must-watch, The Political Dice, Sundays, 8 p.m. with the duo that never stammers, and so much more. Watch us live on all our social media platforms. We are the Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Hey Teddy, have you noticed how little attention science and health issues get in the media?
Totally, Edgar, yet science information is very important.
Yeah, for sure. That's why the Health Journalists Network is here.
How can they help?
They are a group of journalists dedicated to advancing public understanding of healthcare issues through impactful reporting on health and science.
Oh, really?
Yes, they meet up every month with scientists and researchers, policymakers, and activists at the science media cafes. They then relay what they discuss to the public.
Does that benefit us?
Oh yes, very much so. This helps with health and science literacy for a healthy Ugandan society.
Okay. I love getting informed about science and health issues. Health information makes all the difference between life and death. I'll look them up and engage them.
That's great. They are based all over the country.
Oh, okay. That's interesting, and they should be making real impact.
They are empowering health communities through journalism. Journalists can save lives just like doctors.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. You're still watching the Mighty Drive Show, and my name is Karuhanga Edgar Matthew. This morning, I have the Principal Communications Officer for the National Secretariat for Patriotism Corps that is based in the State House. Now, these people are teaching patriotism to various young leaders, people, and communities in this country with the hope that they will be enlightened to be better citizenry and, of course, love their country in a much better light. Some of you are saying we are using a lot of English. I don't know if Mr. Gumisiriza so kwogera kulimi olyanaka olwafu olwawano
Oluganda waliwo yagamba ndowooza yali rapa yagamba Oluganda silwogera ntorontoka lutora
kati lutorontoke kati wetugeredde mukuumulamu obadde mwaka gwa 2009 Mr. Museveni alabye ekizibu ekyali kiri mu ggwanga n'asalawo ayite abakulembeze b'amasomero tutandikirawo wennyini
kati n'ayita abakulembeze b'amasomero ga gavumenti kubanga gavumenti yo you can talk as government. Ebya private omuntu oyinza obutamu kaka kukola ngwekyolowooza especially wekibanga tekiri mu curriculum. So bwayita ba headmaster Masaka 29 n'abanyonyola embeera nga bweyimiridde butya bwetuusa nangani n'ekirowoozo at least twandifunyemu abaana betusobola okukola ki okuteekamu omwoyo gw'eggwanga ne tuteekawo Patriotism Club. Yes, ejja kubanga it is voluntary basis, but at least
Those
those who will get the interest bajja kuyingira bakoleki bafune values zino muntu ayagala eggwanga lyayina kweyisa atya. So yensonga lwaki President Museveni abagamba nti twanditaddewo gundi eno. Kakati ba head teacher b'amasomero ne bakkiriza
Patriotism Club.
Yes, ekisooka bw'oba onootandika kiraabu ogenda kukola otya funa idea. Kati idea yali emaze okujja nga President Museveni agibawadde ne baddayo ne bafuna ba patrons. Of course olina okulaba mu ba teachers bo ani abeera nnyo ku nsonga z'eggwanga biki. So ne bafuna ba patrons. Now ba patrons abo President n'abagamba bwe munaaba mumaze tujja funa omanyi mu maje ne mu movement system mwalingamu omuntu nga Secretary General eyandibadde nga Secretary General w'ekibiina abo be bakwatibwako ensonga ya ideology y'ekibiina n'okugibunyisa. Kakati eri mu movement system mwalingamu political commissar nga political commissar abantu abamu abaaliko ba political commissar mu movement. Dr. Kiza Besigye yali political commissar. The late Brigadier Noble Mayombo yali political commissar. General Kahindo Tafire yali political commissar. There were many. Even the Right Honorable Mama Mbabazi was a political commissar. So these political commissars, their role is to develop. Once the ideology is developed, their role is to engage. They are more like
ambassadors.
They are more. They are more like PROs. They are more like PROs or public relations. Those are the public relations officers or corporate affairs. So your role is to engage with the people to make them understand ideology. So President Yoweri Museveni n'agamba nti kakati bwe munaaba mumaze okwa-identifyinga abasomesa tujja teekayo omusomo. Naye omusomo ogwo ani kati asobola okusomesa obulungi okuwa idea of where the country is coming from, where it is, why we are here and where we need to go. Okubunyisa enjiri mu ba patrons bano
basooke bagitegeere nga tebannagiwa bali.
Kakati His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni wa peakingira, I think that time he was Lieutenant Colonel Masiko Henry
Masiko.
Kati ye chief political commissar. They call him now joint for chief political commissar.
Lieutenant General.
He's a Major General now.
Major General now? Okay.
So biri kumi nga Lieutenant Colonel then Henry Masiko aweereddwa obuvunaanyizibwa obw'okucoordinatinga ba patrons bano ateekewo training ababuulire lwaki njiri ki erina okubunyisibwa mu Patriotism Club zino. Kakati 210 buli somero lyaweereza omusomesa omu. Abaali basomesa 2 ne ba students 2. Ne wabaawo regional camps. Kati awo ye ntandikwa ya patriotism training zino z'olaba ze tukola. 210 nafuna omukisa nze nali mu secondary. I was in high school. They picked me and my other colleague.
You were among the lucky 2.
I was among the lucky 2 students. So we go to Budo, the one for Central. was at Budo. We go to Budo for a week, being taken through the core values of Patriotism Club. What is the basis? So, after 1 week, we got certificates. We went back to our schools to spread the gospel.
Start the Patriotism Clubs.
Yes, that's where you get these slogans beginning, I love Uganda, I sacrifice for Uganda, you know. And then when we went back to our schools, we had to get club members. Of course, we had the opportunity to share on the assemblies what we had picked from the training and to call upon those who wanted to join. And we started these clubs, very vibrant. But what was the idea? I love myself, number one. What does a person who loves himself do? You don't engage in wrongful acts. You are in the right place at the right time with the right people. These ideas were already being preached in schools, in other fora. But now we come back in the patriotism clubs. When we meet, what do we discuss? A person who loves, a student who loves his school, because after loving yourself, then if you love yourself, you have to sleep in a very clean place. You have to study in a clean classroom. You have to go to the bathroom when it is very clean, so that yes, we yagara. You know, when they say omuntu ye yagara ero muraba ne banga sajja ye yagara kasuti keko ka perfume keko abayi nawo ku busente, you know, akamotoka keko musajja ye yagara emotoka ye evebera clean. You get it?
There is a passion.
So this is what we were discussing in our patriotism clubs. And the fact, then at my school, I was a speaker.
Yes, sir.
But every day, you would find me cleaning the compound. Why? Because I wanted to show an example that it is our responsibility. And we started with ourselves as leaders, prefects. You cannot command students to go and clean. Go gendo yere wali, go gendo rongose. Kwato rweyo. Banange munegate ko turongose wano wafana nabubi.
Exactly.
Now for most of the time I was at school, after getting from this patriotism training, I was always cleaning toilets. Because that's what is looked at as a punishment. You know, in school, those who were, these days, some of these Jadens who go to these schools that have cleaners where even the toilets are cleaned by. For us, we use it to do this work ourselves.
Exactly.
But for you to be sent to the washroom to clean toilet, nga chibonerezo bani abatemye class, those who dodged the class, abatorose bebarongosa toilet. So we changed that narrative to say that, look, we are the ones using this toilet, we want it clean. So bwoba ogenda ogirongosa nga wenyigiramu kugirongosa ate tojja gyonona.
Yes.
This is now mindset change.
Njirabe engeri gyotandise okukyuka.
You get
how you the knowledge you got, you are applying it here.
Now let's go and clean ourselves these toilets. When we reach there, we will see that they are very dirty. How did they get dirty? Because someone came, instead of using the hole, nayimirira ku mulyango nakora susu mu karumu konna nga toyina wolinya. So enkeera bw'oba ogenda ojja kumanya nti nze ejjo girongosa kati nyina ogikozesa obulungi. Then we moved. Now I love myself, I love my school.
Yes.
Now a person who loves his school, you are very proud. Where I was at Bethany High School, I even left there a slogan, a tagline, proud Bethanian.
Oyagala essomero lyo.
Nga bw'ofuluma, you want people to say, oyo omwana ava kuki
Bethany
High School. You know, you are very smart, you respect people on the way.
Yes.
Togenda ng'olya mu kkubo, togenda ng'okasuka ebisaaniiko, you know.
Yeah, I get you, sir.
Kale awo ne tuvaawo. I love my community.
Mitendera awo bali batujja mu ggwanga. Community.
Njagala ekyalo kyange wembeera environment gye mbeeramu. Ne tutandika okusimba emiti. Emiti gy'olabaawo ku bypass awo. Here I'm giving you a personal experience.
Yes.
And I know very many other young people were doing the same all over the country.
Abaali
bayise mu kusoma ne baddayo ne bakola clubs nga ziri vibrant. So now we move to the community. Every Saturday we would move out and clean the trading centers, pick these uveras, sensitize the people. Don't litter. Buno obuveera bujja kwonoona obutonde bw'ensi. Bwe bunaayonoona obutonde bw'ensi ate tuba tetujja kufuna mmere. Embeera ejja tabanguka ate tubeere nga ffe abakosebbwa. Kaakati ne tugenda nga tubuulira enjiri eyo mu community as we help them. That is now community service. And also it also stems from one of the core values, which is protecting the environment. Omuntu ayagala eggwanga lye.
Core values of patriotism.
Ze baatusomesa wali.
Kulaba.
So that was at the secondary school level since 2010 and it is still ongoing. Kakati by 2010 nga tuvudde e Buddo, His Excellency the President guided Lieutenant Colonel Masiko then that these ideas you may not be able to teach them to each and everyone. You may not be able to conduct these trainings yourself centrally. They need to be decentralized.
Exactly.
So now, form a secretariat that is going to develop the curriculum and manuals to disseminate to the patrons at school level. But also, you need a monitoring and evaluation mechanism to see these things you are teaching. Are they effective?
Yes, sir.
Do we need to, because of the changing times, do you need to change some things along the way? And that is the creation of the National Secretariat for Patriotism. Clubs. Here we are talking of
corps.
Then it was clubs. And I'm going to tell you how now it becomes corps.
Okay. You're going to tell me, but there's a gentleman here who paints a picture, and I also wanted to ask. He's called Sewankambo John. He's based in Dubai. Thank you so much, sir, for watching.
Yes.
Sewankambo says that the people who were patriotic then, Uganda at that time, I don't want to use the exact words, he says the Uganda at that time, people were willing to lose their lives for that country, and they loved their Uganda at that time. That was the previous Uganda. Why is it that today we are not seeing them do that way, even after the job that you are doing? Thank you so much, Sewankambo, for watching.
You see, sometimes I love these comments. Someone tells you, abantu bedda.
Ntiedda Uganda abantu bali bajja tebabasomesa kukola ki?
No, babasomesa. That's why I told you there was civics. The Musevenis studied civic education. They studied civics. But I don't want us to go into the politics. The politics of revolutions, because that's what he's talking about. Now, that is a different topic. But you must understand the pull and push factors, the conditions that lead
to that particular method to be applied.
To that particular method. To someone saying kati oba nfa nfe.
Watukira okwewaayo.
There is a pull and a push factor.
Okay.
Now, it is also a cultural issue. Why is it that Kenyans have stronger riots and demonstrations and extended ones than Uganda? It is a cultural issue. It is a historical issue. What is the history of resistance? What is the history of resistance in Kenya?
Country,
And it also stems from the colonial heritage.
Yeah, the Mau Mau, I remember.
Uganda was held with soft hands.
We did not fight for
That's why it was a protectorate, a colony.
Exactly. For our independence.
For Uganda, because we were more organized, the Buganda was already established.
A centralized system.
It had its own administrative system.
Yes.
Bunyoro had an administrative system. Ankore had an administrative system. Toro, all these areas.
They were organized already.
They were already organized. Now, when the British came here, they said, no, these people already have a system that is like ours, so we don't need to dismantle anything. We only need to brainwash them in a way that they take what we want them to do than continue with their own system. In Kenya, it was different.
So that's how you got
it was, let us make this Kenya a settler colony. That's why now the Kenya Highlands, the Mount Kenya area, had these huge farms of whites. The same in South Africa.
Exactly.
And these other areas. Make it a settler colony. Come and drive away the people, alienate the land, set up farms, make it a little Britain. Here it was different. So we don't have that kind of resistance. The only issues we had earlier from, and also it is because of that colonial heritage, where you have these groups brought together under one country you call Uganda, but then you get the Kabaka
and make him the
president. And then you have issues because the colonial government had gifted Buganda 2 counties of Bunyoro. Uganda and Bugangese, they call them lost countries. The counties, they were lost to where? They were here, they have always been here. Now, you get these countries, donate them to Buganda, because they have helped you in colonizing other areas. And then you get the president, who is the Kabaka. And then you have a prime minister, who says people have a right to choose whether they want to belong to Uganda or they go back to Bunyoro. And the referendum is held, and the people choose that for them, they are Bunyoro, they have nothing to do with the Buganda.
They want to go back.
And the president says, take your government away from my...
my lad. I get so uncomfortable.
So
you're painting a good picture for him.
I think we will get another time to go into these issues, but let's now stick to this teaching of patriotism. And the problems begin from there, 1966. It was not a Uganda crisis.
It was a Uganda.
It was a constitutional crisis of Uganda. The framing of the 1962 constitution.
I thought now the 66 pigeonhole constitution is what brings those problems. The
is what now brings what Sewankambo is saying, that people were willing.
Okay, so there were factors there. Please tell us, how do you now metamorphose from a club to a now corps?
So now we leave secondary school. By 2015, some of us who were in secondary then had finished campus. And these clubs stopped at secondary school level. So we found a challenge of organization at the university. Of course, most of us who came from these patriotism clubs at secondary school will make some small study groups. Yeah. So in 2015, we convinced His Excellency the President to enlarge the mandate.
2015?
Yes, 2015. As the alumni of patriotism clubs
in secondary.
Yes, we had an opportunity to meet him. And we told him, look, yes, these ideas are good at secondary school, but patriotism is more like religion. Someone needs to be reminded every day. And it goes back to the question people keep asking. Does anyone need to be taught to love their country?
Exactly.
Do you need to be taught to love God? He's your creator.
You should love him automatically.
It should come naturally.
Why do they remind you every day?
But the reason you go to church every day, some do go every day, some go Monday, Wednesday, Friday overnight, others on Saturday, others on Sunday. It's continuous.
Exactly.
You have the Bible with you in your house, but you go to church. Why? You are looking for an interpretation.
Of the mystery
You want
there.
an encouragement. You want a different perspective
Of the same word you are reading.
of the same word. That's what they call now in the Bible spiritually. These things are called revelation. You want a revelation of the meaning of this word. You want to understand more. What is it about baptism? What is salvation? What is faith?
Yes.
But you can read your Bible and get to the meaning of faith. But you want someone to paint for you a picture of what faith is. A person who has faith, what does he behave like? Now that's what we do within these patriotism trainings.
Okay.
We are not teaching people to love their country. We are only telling them that if you love your country, this is what you do.
Okay, first, in fact, that's where, let me first show this book to
Yes.
our viewers. It has the guidebook to the teaching of patriotism in Uganda, edited by Professor Murindwa Rutaganda. Rutanga, sorry,
Yes.
Rutanga, editor. And there are a couple of people who have contributed to this, and I have a reason why I'm showing you this. Professor Murindwa Rutanga, Professor Peter Baguma, Professor Mwanga, Mugaga, and other very pertinent people. The question is, Ugandans say that in these trainings, you are indoctrinating. You're actually not training. You are creating a mindset of people who are loyal to one man, to the man who has the vision of this thing, and that is Mr. Museveni. That all people that you see in those trainings are just taught to think about Museveni, dream Museveni. What Museveni says is what is done. How true is this? That you're developing cadres. In fact, that's the word to use for NRM.
Developing cadres for NRM, no. Have you heard Elias Lukwago speaking, the Lord Mayor?
I have.
He said, I went to Chankwanzi. The other things he adds, but he went.
That's true.
For almost the same course. How come he was not indoctrinated? And there are very many people.
I know. So
I'll give you another example. If you get an opportunity to host the Secretary General of NUP.
I've just said him right now. Hey, David Louis Rubongoe.
Yes.
He's a product of Chankwanzi.
Ask him how many of these trainings he has attended. Even number of them, even the finance guy, my friend Council Benjamin Katana. So these trainings, because someone thinks they are for indoctrination, doesn't make them for indoctrination. What you think in your mind is not absolute. It's an opinion that you hold. Opinion can be formed by misconception. It's only someone who has an open mind that can now start thinking of what if. You interrogate more instead of reaching a conclusion and saying, this is just for people to be taught to love one man. Museveni is not immortal. He's a mortal man. He's in his evening, and he keeps telling you, one of these days I'm going to heaven. The country will continue. By all means, if it was to go by natural selection, most of us, the young people, will outlive him.
Exactly.
So do I need to be taught to worship Museveni, to love him? I will outlive him. What will happen when he's gone? But the core principle is Uganda. It is East Africa, it is Africa. Now, the things we teach in these trainings is what? Political economy. You must understand what political economy is.
Yes.
Ways of thinking. This is philosophy. This is taught at university. It's purely philosophy. How do you look at the world? Idealism versus materialism. What are the laws of nature? The unity of opposites. Negation of the negation. That there must be continuity. That something will outgrow and then a new form will emerge. The leadership.
We were literally teaching civics that used to be there.
Exactly. And this...
Because if you have read civics,
the book is here. I want to challenge anyone, even you are here. The unfortunate bit is that now you don't have time, you have not gone through it. But I would have asked you to point to an exact point where it says, love Museveni, or we are teaching you to have NRM. The topics that are here, I'm going to read a few. Maybe if I read, they may say I am getting from my mind.
Okay.
You start from
chapter 2.
Where is chapter 1? Chapter 1 here.
The preamble.
You look at those.
So chapter 1 is the preamble, the purpose and objectives of the guide, the layout, the learning methods, the teaching methods.
Just here on chapter 1. What is the
purpose and objectives of this guide, the layout of the book, generic competences which the teachers and instructors ought to transmit to the learners and participants. So now
read these that are in capital letters only, because those are the subjects.
The teaching, learning, interactive lectures, experiential learning approach, video illustrations, storytelling teaching method, group work discussion teaching method.
So those are methods. That is in chapter 1. Chapter 2, what is there?
Chapter 2, the basics of patriotism.
Yes.
They talk about the introduction to the study of patriotism in Uganda, the aim of this module, then the
Chapter 3, what does it teach? Basic rights, duties and responsibilities of a citizen and the state. Chapter 4. History of evolution of human beings. Yes. Social systems, that's chapter 5. Chapter 6, Africa's transition from international trade to slave trade. Then colonial history of Uganda, chapter 7, clash between landlords and the colonial state over exploitation
of the Milo land resources. Chapter 9, anti-colonial movements, their cause and defeat.
Now,
This is social studies.
You see what they talk about.
Yes.
This thing of land grabbing. Land grabbing. Buganda, land is a big issue. What does that say? What does that chapter say?
The clash between the landlords and the colonial state, exploitation of the Milo
over
land
the
resources.
exploitation of the Milo
Land resources.
So you have a colonial administration that sits and parcels out land.
Yes.
And says family so and so, you are taking these square miles. Family so and so, you are taking these square miles.
Yeah.
The land tenure system that we have today, the thing you hear of Maira Kenda, where is it? That Maira Kenda was crown land. It was reserved for the exploitation of the British government, the monarchy. It was basically that Maira Kenda. Bali bakaleseewo kulwa n'abakyala wa Bungereza ne Bungereza. That's the land that consists of wetlands, forests, lakes. That's the Maira Kenda they keep talking about. Now you have these square miles given to individuals, and then you, who is not part of that family, you become a what now? A tenant. Exactly. You pay usul to this landlord who never came with any land. Exactly. But who did not purchase it, to whom it was simply given, allotted.
I know.
And then that's where we have the NRM coming in and saying you must protect Bibanja holders. Because this touches on the economy. When we are teaching of social classes, revolutions, 1886 France. 1789.
1789, French Revolution.
It's the same system. To whom did the land belong to?
The bourgeoisie.
It belonged to the church. It belonged to the royals. Yes. King Louis and his family. And then a few bourgeoisie. The majority of the people were serfs.
Exactly.
Till the land, pay the taxes, pay tithe, pay gebali, which was, I think, salt tax. Land. Land ownership, landlord issue. You have the same here. If anyone wanted to do a revolution, the revolution in France was to change these social classes. Exactly. So that everyone has the same opportunity. Yes. Because when you talk of land, you are talking about factors of production. Exactly. And that's what we'll be teaching in these classes. So now we are moving to COP from club. Yes. His Excellency the President, because this is a presidential initiative, even when it is entrenched within the Constitution, Article 17, His Excellency the President says, okay, now Afande must go, you go and establish study groups and chapters at university level now. But now, the idea that we were discussing then was, why don't we have national service? And His Excellency the President said, yes, this is a very good idea. We also know it is necessary, but resources. Because the national service needs a lot of resources. So let's make baby steps.
Before we reach that point.
So we go to university.
Okay.
2019. We had another interaction at Kororo, which was called Patriotism Catch-Up. And during that event, we informed the President that it was also not enough for people at school to be the only ones to benefit from this knowledge.
Exactly.
Because every Ugandan needs to know, why they should love their country. The reason is why. You see, someone, when I was entering here, I don't know, is he the CEO? My friend Norman, to Muhimbis. Norman, we were in activism together. Those days when we used to throw pigs at Parliament. And he asked me, but you see what you are doing, you are simply telling children to love their father. You see, when I also saw a comment here, I think yesterday but one, that when you start telling children to love their father, there is a problem
if you remind them.
Now, the children need to know that they have a responsibility. That's what we teach them even at home. Why you should not destroy furniture. It's not about loving me as your father. Yesterday I saw here a video. It was a video. Yes, it was a video. Some friend of mine called Engineer Keza, Gloria, she posted a video of children who had, I think, smeared butter and flour all over the sofas, and she put a tag, "That's why I'm still single." and my response was that this is just poor upbringing.
Exactly.
Because if you tell your children that don't do this, if you love your home, you don't do this. You are not telling them to love you as their father. My children know that there are certain things they cannot do. They know that they cannot touch the TV. They can only use the remote to control the TV.
Yes.
If it's not working, then it's not their responsibility to fix it, wait for daddy to come.
Exactly.
You know?
Yes, sir.
So we inculcate these values. When we have visitors at home, you don't jump around. I am not telling them to love me. I am telling them love your home enough, but if you love this home, you must have manners.
Yes.
You don't abuse yourselves in the house. You don't abuse your sibling. And the moment you do, immediately you get a punishment there and you must apologize.
Yes, to learn.
You get? And this is a responsibility. Take patriotism. During this Christmas, there's that young man, I don't know his name, who brought Jaden, and Jaden was trending. Jaden musimanyi takora wet. Jaden wanange anaba mineral water. Jaden. We are teaching our children in our homes that if you love yourself enough, you must wash your own clothes. Now, those who are not teaching them the same, thinking that they are loving them,
that's not love.
Which kind of citizens are you raising? And this is what we teach even in patriotism. Okay. I will give you an example. During this training, one parent called. Yes, the participants were told to wash their uniforms. And some of the participants called their father. And the father called and said, no, my children don't wash their... You are mistreating them. They don't wash their own clothes. Is there a way their mother can be picking their clothes and wash them and then bring them back? We told him this is a military camp now. Exactly. No access. You only come at the pass out day. And then we got these kids. They had to wash their own clothes.
Can you imagine someone calling to wash for them?
Yes. And this is practical. Now, by the time they go back home, I am very sure
they know
they
how to
went
wash.
home. Next thing is that parent will call to appreciate.
That she's now washing her clothes.
Now, these trainings we do in schools, there's one prominent school there in Gayaz. We did a training there, and I think it goes to the theme of this program. The question was, how effective are these trainings? So one school, you know, some of these A-class schools, they say, for us we don't need patriotism, we give values to our children, and you know, we don't want to be part of that. Until last year, our commissioner, the new commissioner, we just made 1 year in office. I'm telling you these things from 2010.
I'm seeing the vision.
When we meet the president, we have not been part of the Secretariat. We were basically patriots.
Yes.
Out
volunteers,
in the community,
people who love.
volunteers. And in our communities, wherever we are, we were applying these things we studied.
Already.
We got within the clubs, the trainings. If you look around for what I have done personally, you will see that I have been very engaged with Kampala markets on the leadership issue, the policy issue of government on markets. And these markets should be for the common person, the muntu wa wansi mwananchi, they are nurseries. Once you make some money, move. Because I am a businessman. I used to do business in Usafi market, the old tax park.
They understand the markets.
So, because that is my community, from my home, from loving myself, I come to a community like Owino.
Yeah, the market.
How do I want a market that I work in to look like? I want this market to be clean. I want to be treated fairly.
But why is the patriotism really subjective in nature? Because there are some young people who have actually gone through your trainings. You cited out the David Luongoyas. When they come to advocate for matters that are bigger than that threaten the politics of the land or threaten your cadres or comrades, it feels like now that is not patriotism. Are we subjective in saying patriotism only works when I'm helping in cleaning markets, but when I advocate for a better Uganda?
Let me ask you a question. Do you need to burn tires for you to be heard?
No.
Do you need to burn vehicles and smash buildings?
But even before I burn or smash in a building, even when I just carry a placard to say corruption should stop in this country, I'm bundled and whisked away. Sometimes tortured, sometimes even people lose their lives.
It goes to the method. You see, for you, there's something I talked about, prima facie. You are looking at the placard. You have not looked at the process that has brought this placard on the street and the interests behind. Now, when His Excellency the President came out and said, we have a report, we have information that these young people are merely being used, most, even the Fourth Estate, the media, castigated him. But you are on social media, you are on X. Have you seen the bickering?
I'm seeing the bickering
within those activists themselves?
Yes, I'm seeing.
And how they have been exposing each other.
Yes.
You got money from so and so. You got
for
money.
You are pretending to
for you, I
streets.
pretend.
You want to justify donor money.
Now, when you look at face value, prima facie, you think this is a genuine demonstration against corruption. The reason the response is like that is because these ones who are responding have the information that you don't have. They know, for instance, that your purpose is not only to demonstrate against corruption, but you want to ignite something that is more deadly than simply carrying a placard. So some of these things, we need to know that there are forces, invisible forces, that do not wish us well. And you need to understand, even as a young man, before you get involved, you need to know, this thing I am getting involved in, is this the right fora to address this matter? I've told you, since 2015, I have been advocating for policy changes in markets.
Yes.
Recently, we started on borders. If the border riders went on the street to demonstrate and riot that the permit is very expensive,
yes,
would that be effective? But when they brought the issue, and it also goes back to these patriotism trainings, these ones we hold like at Nkumba, Chankwanzi, Kaweweta, you have seen, it is a platform for the young people to air out their discontent.
Dialogue, let's talk about
these things. Let's talk. You have an issue, medical interns, you saw it last year. We had medical interns in Chankwanzi. We have seen you have discontent. You come and we discuss. Let's meet in Chankwanzi. Let's bring the PS of Education. Let's bring the minister of Health. Let's bring all these stakeholders and dialogue. If there is a policy issue that needs to be addressed, then let's form a memorandum, present it to His Excellency the President, who goes back to his cabinet and says the young people have said ABC.
Can you point a picture or point out a point where that really occurred and you say this was born or birthed from this particular...
So the borders come and they tell us, we are going to demonstrate. We are tired of being arrested and money being extorted from us because we don't have driving permits. So we said, why don't you get? He said, the permits are very expensive. It is unfair for me, a rider, who transports one person, to pay the same amount as the driver of a taxi or a bus.
Yes.
So he said, okay, so what do you want? He said, we want the cost of the permit for border reduced. Now, what is the process? You must first of all build the consensus within the policy makers, the Minister for Transport and his team, but also Cabinet, the Minister of Finance, because for him, when he's making projections, he's looking at that money from the permit.
Exactly.
So you don't simply come and say, reduce,
because there's an implication.
Without building consensus with him.
Exactly.
To say that, look, it is very expensive and people don't have it because it is expensive. So even your projections are not working for all these years.
Exactly.
People have been riding without permits. So you even gain more if you reduce and very many people get them.
Yes, sir.
So now, how do you get this stakeholders engagement? As Secretariat, the National Secretariat of Patriotism, we don't have mandate, for instance, to summon ministers and put them in a room. So what do we do? We say, okay, even you, yes, you are complaining about permits, but we also have concerns as the population. You are indisciplined.
Yes.
You are the ones who engage in crime, snatching phones. You are the ones who transport murderers, assassinations.
Exactly.
So as you want us to listen to you, you should also listen to the voices of the people.
Yes.
So now what needs to be done? Mindset change. So we say, okay, can we agree that we get your leaders, those that we can accommodate within the available resources? We go to Kaweweta and have this discussion. Now, the advantage we have, I said we don't have the mandate to, for instance, summon ministers for a meeting, but we have an advantage that we can invite a minister to come and facilitate.
Yes.
So when that minister comes to facilitate, then you can address
Your issues.
your issues.
Okay.
And those issues form part of the memorandum.
As you conclude, on that issue.
So now we take, the leaders agree, we go to Kaweweta in May, April. Everyone comes. The Minister for Transport comes, the police comes, security comes, everyone, KCCA comes. The Insurance Regulatory Authority also comes on the issues of third party and why is it that me I have third party, I don't benefit from
Exactly,
it.
from it.
Is there a way you can design more products that are beneficial to me even as a rider, that when I have an accident I am catered for?
Exactly.
Those are the issues that happen in these trainings. It's not basically about love your country. Yes,
You even have an opportunity to talk, to speak to power straight.
Exactly.
Yes,
the reason, and people come and say, the reason I don't love my country is because of this. Like I've said, the borders. Fe babeera batukuba bakwata pichipichi zaffe bazikwatira ki tetuyina permit. Naye lyadde babakwata nti temuyina permit naye nammwe muvuga bubi. You don't respect traffic rules. You are inconsiderate to other road users. So it is consensus.
Let me ask you the other
So
thing.
at the end of that training, we had built consensus that the permit needs to reduce.
Wow.
Yeah. There were issues of border loans. There were issues of these loans where people have to hand in their national IDs. So you have seen a number of changes coming from the permit itself.
Yes.
His Excellency the President said, I did not know that this was the case. And the next Monday in cabinet, he said, Prime Minister, I am tasking you with the Minister for power, transport, finance, go and work out a method of reducing this permit. And it was done.
Okay,
now,
just because we have like a few minutes, 3 to 2, I want you to just tell us the roadmap of these trainings. Where are you going now? What next for this particular year? But also, why is it that every time people are in those trainings, they put on military fatigue? What is in that mind that they will always have to have military attire when they are in those trainings? What is the vision behind, as you also tell us that? Yeah, your way forward and your parting shot.
So one, military attire is non-partisan. It unites all of us.
Okay.
So one, it is for purposes of uniformity. But also, where you go into an institution like Chankwanzi, which is run by the military, the UPDF, then you need to be in uniform so that they differentiate you from the common people. I want you to imagine a situation where you have 700 participants and everyone is putting their own attire. How would you differentiate him from a herdsman who is on campus grazing cows? How do you make sure that this person does not leave the camp and go to the trading centers, get wasted there, or maybe get involved in a fight in a bar or go and do other things that are not really part of the training.
Yes, sir.
So that's the idea behind the uniform.
Okay.
But also, like the uniforms you saw in Nkumba, those are not military. They are uniforms of NSPC. They are own uniforms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they are not really military. But the idea is for purposes of uniformity and enforcement of discipline.
Okay. So 2025, what's your roadmap?
So 2025, when my commissioner Helen Seku, and by the way, I didn't tell you, Commissioner Helen Seku was also part of the training. She's a youth. She's a youth.
Okay.
She was part of the first training in 2010, and she remained a volunteer at the Secretariat. So all these things were about the suggestions for changes. Your Excellency, let's change here. Let's expand the mandate this way. Let's now move into the informal sector 2019, where we said, let's get out of institutions. Everyone needs this training. So let's get organized groups and take them through.
Okay.
And now the issue, yes, we were at the other end of proposing changes, but the implementation was different. Now it falls on the Secretariat and its leaders.
Wow, okay.
So His Excellency the President in 2023, we were complaining that the target that is being set by the Secretariat and Office of the President, because then we are under Office of the President, is very low. Because the target then was that you train only 75,000 per year. Now, of all the millions of Ugandans, now over 50 million that we have, when you train 75,000, when will you build the critical mass?
That's a drop in an ocean.
Yeah. And the issues were that what the targets are set by Office of the President, which is public service. There are issues here and there. Then the leaders were curtailed. They were confined within that number. So His Excellency the President said, instead of continuing to complain, why don't you go? You go there, lead the Secretariat, see if you can make change.
And that's how she becomes.
And now that's how she becomes the commissioner. And now the have said so far, we no longer have a cap on the number. That is why even when we found that there was a target of 75,000 for the last year, 2024, by the end of the year, we had trained 146,719.
More than double, literally, or double.
Double. But we are basically breaking public service.
Give us your parting shot, Gumisiriza.
So now you expect more trainings, but the viewers out there have a positive mind. When you have an opportunity to participate, even out of curiosity, go and participate.
How can they do that?
We call for trainings. When we call for different groups, we put out invitations, like this one of the leaders, university leaders. There are those who declined because they say, for me, I am opposition, I cannot participate. But why don't you come? See, if you don't like some things, say, this is what I found, but you cannot continue to speak out of ignorance. That is not a luxury that you have.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for hosting.
All right, it was a privilege having you. Thank you so much for watching Digitalk TV. I've been with Ugand-Gumisiriza. the Principal Communications Officer for the National Secretariat for Patriotism Corps Uganda. That and much more is what we had for you, but you can go look us up. That is at Digitalk TV and also at the Alternative Uganda. Remember, we are streaming on either platform, that is on Facebook, but also on YouTube. Send us your comment, question, or query. We'll be able to serve you in that particular regard. We'll see you tomorrow. It's a Woman Crush Wednesday. The ladies will be here to have a conversation with you at exactly 8 a.m. Do not miss. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga from the entire team. God bless you and good morning, Uganda.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.